Hello, and welcome to another episode of Brettcast Gaming Talk. Yeah, if you read the title, then yeah, I'm back to talk even more about Call of Duty World War II. I'm gonna hit a few specific parts of the campaign, like the 2 vehicle missions, the end of the campaign, but I also want to touch on the multiplayer just a little bit. I have to be honest here. The first video I did, I was probably about halfway through the campaign, and yeah, I went through one of the vehicle mission parts, but I didn't expect there to be another one, and I didn't think the ending would be something I want to talk about. This is why I'm here, making a second part to my first discussion on Call of Duty World War II. So, let's get into it. I'm going to start with the section of the campaign that is called Collateral Damage. It starts with you as the main character guy you've been, I forget his name. You then find a field phone to call for reinforcements, and then it switches you to being a tank driver in a Sherman. Now, one of my first complaints is that I want the option to switch the camera view when driving the tank. You shouldn't be stuck having to do the first-person view in the tank. In Battlefield 5, you could do the first-person view or what they call the chase camera, and you could switch between the one you were comfortable using. I don't want to hear that the chase camera breaks immersion or realism, because I don't really care. It's a video game. Accuracy goes out the fucking window anyway. Now, I'm going back to Call of Duty World War II here. So, the biggest thing with this tank section has to do with the controls for keyboard and mouse. In a regular game, W would drive you forward. However, in Call of Duty World War II, the W key doesn't move you forward, but it realigns the tank so that the front of the tank is matching with the front of the barrel of the gun. Add to that you can barely see out of the little bit of area that you can see, and there are 2 Tiger I tanks that you cannot shoot from the front. This is why I said earlier that accuracy goes out the window in a video game. And this is a prime example. I understand that Sherman tanks were light tanks and Tiger Is are heavy tanks. That doesn't mean that a 75mm round shot from the barrel of a Sherman to the front of a Tiger I would just bounce right off of it, as depicted in Call of Duty World War II. That's another thing. Anytime there were tanks in the game, it's always a Sherman. Why not include the MTLS-1G-I4, the M3 Lee Grant, the M4A6, the M24 Chaffee, or the M36 Jackson, to name a few? It kind of feels like they only had, models of the Sherman ready to go for the game, and that's what they used. Getting back to the campaign section I'm talking about now, it probably took me 4 or 5 tries to get through that one section of the campaign. It takes my Sherman 2 rounds to the back of the Tiger I to destroy it, yet my Sherman felt like it was made of tin and could just be destroyed super easily. There's a campaign part in Battlefield 5 where you drive a Tiger I tank for 80% of that campaign, and the main enemy was Sherman tanks, and I can tell you that they could always damage my Tiger I tank by shooting it from any side. Anyway, I gotta move on to the next mission to complain about. Next, I'm going to be talking about a section from the part of the campaign called Battle of the Bulge. This does like the above section. You start as main character guy with your platoon under heavy fire and you need help. So you find a field phone and then you transition into flying a P-47 Thunderbolt plane. The one positive I'm going to give Call of Duty World War II is that you have the option to invert the flight controls, which is something that Battlefield 1 could learn from. However, this plane shouldn't control like someone who is having an epilepsy episode. Seriously, this is another case of whoever made the keyboard and mouse controls for vehicle sections in this game needs to seriously be injured, because they fucking suck. I could move my mouse a tiny bit left or right, and the plane was just way over to the left or way over to the right, and it would just descend when I didn't want it to, and I'm just trying to shoot down German planes so they can't shoot down our bombers, but you're making this fucking difficult. To make this much shorter, it took me 4 or 5 times to pass this mission part, and the only way I was able to was just to not do anything, not shoot anything, not even move. So yeah, those two missions in the campaign are just the worst parts of Call of Duty World War II for me. Now, the thing I have to talk about is the ending of the campaign. And I still stand by what I said, that the campaign feels more like a movie the more I played it, and the more I felt this was true. There's even a moment that Josh Duhamel's character gets in a bit of a fight with I forget his rank, but the actual leader of the platoon guy, and leader guy also ends up getting killed, and he heroically dies defending the platoon's retreat. But the absolute end of the campaign, one of your platoon has been captured. Now, before I get to the epilogue, the ending of the last mission really kind of feels like a letdown. 1 minute I'm defending from an onslaught of Germans, and the next they just surrender, and you get this generic, the war was pretty much won, and that's really it before the epilogue. The epilogue of Call of Duty World War II has you walking through an unnamed concentration camp because you're trying to find your missing platoon mate. And the other platoon mate guy that's been with you, he likes to take photos, and he takes photos and spots in the concentration camp, while your character would narrate about the horrors of concentration camps. You do eventually find your missing guy, and then in the final cutscene, he lives, your guy goes back to his wife, blah blah blah. It's very stereotypical. But I kind of agree with this Reddit post that I saw, and I feel like that it would have been a little deeper impact if your platoon mate that you went after had died in the hospital or something. So yes, that's now all I have to say about the campaign for Call of Duty World War II. And aside from those two vehicle sections, the campaign is pretty enjoyable despite it playing out like a very stereotypical kind of movie about World War II. Now let's talk a little bit about the multiplayer. The biggest thing about this that makes it hard to talk about the multiplayer is because you can't actually find a match with real people, because everyone is now either playing Modern Warfare, Warzone, or Black Ops Cold War. To be honest, I can only blame the companies that develop Call of Duty games because they release one every year, and they obviously don't care about the longevity of their games, or at least they didn't. So I had to play against bots, and that's actually a plus for Call of Duty World War II to have the ability to play regular multiplayer with bots, because that's something I quite enjoy anyway. Unfortunately, the maps are nothing to write home about. You either go left, right, or center, and that's it. I will say I had the most fun playing as the Wanderlust class because of the random weapon each time you spawn is really great, and it's kind of funny. Sometimes I get a submachine gun, other times I get a sledgehammer, and have to challenge myself to try to get at least one kill with it. There are more objective-based maps, but they're really simple, build a bridge, take this point, and then switch sides, defend the bridge, defend the point. It's basic stuff, but it's fun, and that's pretty much how you sum up the multiplayer. It's just kind of fun. And now, that's it. Those are all of my thoughts on all aspects of Call of Duty World War II. That's all I have to say, so if you're added to the conversation, leave a comment below. As always, thanks for listening, and goodbye.